Okay. I think that worked. I tried a new microphone, and the settings got messed up a bit there. So, hello Ninja Master, hello Lone Wolf. Alright. Well, let's go ahead and get started. So, we are now on the corpus section. We previously went through... Let me pull it up again. We previously went through the Dark Sector section, the Warframe Project Lotus section, and the Grenier section on the last two streams. So now we are starting on the corpus. And yeah. So I'm a big fan of the corpus. They've got some of the most interesting tile sets in my opinion. Very detailed stuff. The Grenier don't have a lot of detailed stuff. So I am looking forward to seeing what kind of things we can get. We can see from the corpus because, you know, I love all like the technology and stuff that they have as well. So, as always, let me know if there's issues with the stream, with the audio or the visual. I figured out that the background music was actually just not showing up on the previous streams. So let me know if that's at a good volume. But we'll just go right ahead. So this section starts off with another forward by Sheldon Carter, the Chief Operating Officer of Digital Extremes. The Corpus tileset mirrors the entire development of Warframe in that it's seen iteration and change, but has always had a solid creative sense that keeps players returning for more. Hey, Sith. It is a testament to the talented team we had right at the beginning to conceive something so rich and exciting, and then how so many new and different people contributed to its massive expansions. Jupiter and Gas City, the debt colony of Fortuna, and the iconic golden hands of the Deadlock Protocol. Overall, a stunning visual definition of the faction's theme. Growth plus profit equals profit. Yeah, it wasn't. What wasn't? I'm assuming it was either the music or the mic. Anyway, so that's, and then this, I'm pretty sure is, yeah, this is a concept of the Gas City tile set. You can see one of the other towers like in the distance here, so that sort of tells you where it is. I really like, you know, the idea of the gas city of a facility in the gas atmosphere is very interesting and very cool. I don't know of a ton of other explorations in other settings of that kind of theme, so that's cool. And I like how it has all these like open balconies and stuff like that, kind of like what you see here. It's just a very interesting terrain. So, right off the bat, we got a bunch of sketches of characters and robots and stuff. So, and I actually, I'm gonna risk it. So I got a new thing to hold the camera. It's a little bit more wobbly, and so hopefully that won't. Hopefully it can stay stable for this stream, but it also means I can move it around a lot more easily to specifically like zoom in on stuff. So this is a lot of effort though, so I don't know how much I'll be doing this over and over again. But just to like focus in on some of the sketches, we can move a little closer in. So right off the bat says Guild Robotics, flexible, stretchy skin over modular, rigid underside. And so yeah, that's that makes a lot of sense based on especially the older Corpus robotics that had this weird plastic rubbery skin. and they redesigned the models over time, and so they're less and less like that. Now they're more blocky metal stuff, which makes more sense for robots, I think. They had a weird, distinct, like they had skin, not human skin, but like rubber skin at the front at the beginning of the game, and that's apparently was part of the original design thing. I am kind of glad they moved away from that because it was just a bit too weird. This says fodder, flying drones, auto turret on flexible arm, core, ostrich-like biped. Of course, those are the MOAs. Boss, amped up jackal, quadruped. This says hypa-like patterns. I don't know what a hypa is, but these are sketches of the jackal, of course. Especially this one's especially recognizable as like the old model jackal. This and this are interesting. They're interesting versions of MOAs. These are not obviously the MOAs that we have now. These have like, the legs, they go upwards from the hips on this one, which is an interesting sort of skeleton, and is not really how they look, but it's it's an interesting sort of early exploration, I guess. And then here we've got some characters. This looks a lot like Darvok's, except for the face. The face looks like a kid, or maybe it's just not. But this is like Darvo's helmet and kind of outfit. This is Alad V's outfit for sure, with sort of the baggy pants and the collar. I think this is like a little doodle we saw earlier in the Grineer section. The one that I was confused with. That MOA head looks similar to the one we have nowadays. Yeah, I was thinking that, but I didn't say it. It looks like the top hat MOA head that you can get when you customize the MOAs at Thursby Legs' shop. When you customize your own MOA. It's interesting that there's like a version of this in this really old concept art that, I guess they brought back when they started making the modular MOAs. So here we just have like another corpus head, face, helmet, and here's a side view. These two are interesting. I don't know. I mean, I guess this is supposed to be like a person in some sort of combat suit, but we don't really see like corpus soldiers like this. Yeah, thinner. Yeah, it is a lot thinner. I think it's not really a top hat. I think there's just like one metal bit sticking out from the front. I don't think it's like a round the brim top hat. But it's just a little hard to see. But yeah, this thing is interesting. This soldier combat suit type thing. The corpus people that we encounter and fight are the crewmen in the big bulky helmets. They're not really soldiers. They're, if you think about how they are supposed to be like fighters, it's really just like they have guns. They don't have armor or anything. The helmets aren't really armor. And they just have these weird bulky suits. This is like an interesting like corpus fighter. This kind of looks like armor. It would be interesting it looks like an assassin kind of. It would be interesting to see like a corpus assassin type. But it would probably look like this. I just think this is really cool. Alright, so moving on to the other page, and I'm just gonna put this back up. Oops. See, this is why I don't want to be messing with it, because this is just so finicky. But I need it to go up enough to see the whole book. Ugh. just a bit more. This is, yeah, this is way too annoying. I was like, oh, I can bring it down and zoom in all the time. I am not doing this. This is so annoying. It's still crooked. This is terrible. Alright. I'm no longer touching this. This is too much. Too annoying. Moving the book is easier than moving the camera. Alright. That nonsense aside. If you really want me to zoom in on a particular thing, I will. It'll probably just be easier to just actually zoom in the image rather than moving the camera. But I've changed my mind. I'm no longer going to be zooming in on stuff unless you specifically request it. So we'll just keep at this scale, and hopefully the image quality is good enough that you can make out most of it. All right, moving on. On this page, we have this orb thing in like clamps, and this says opens up. Other than that, there's no explanation about what this is supposed to be or what it's supposed to do. It could be like a diving bell sort of thing, or because it looks sort of armored and like reinforced. It's got like bolted like ribs reinforcing it. So I don't know. Down here we have more corpus people, this time with like a really pointy head. Not sure what that is, and this is the same helmet, the pointy bit. And then this, I think we've seen this thing before, because it's got these spikes or ridges along the arms, which made me think it was Vauban before. But yeah, I'm not really sure. But I guess it's a corpus person, assuming, because it's in this section. This is maybe more recognizable. This is like the comba slow. The corpus, humanoid enemies that with the helmets that give off the auras. Combas and Scrambus. Scrambus is the Scrambuses and Combas. And this is obviously a different sort of take. I think this helmet is a turret. I think this is actually a turret on the head. So it's probably like an older version of it. Because now the helmets, they do have like these complex helmets, but they do stuff. They give off these auras that nullify powers. And this is another helmet design. It looks like an axe head, like a hatchet, kind of. I don't know what this is. This is some sort of. This is thinking cap, but this sketch is so faint, it's hard to make anything out here. This looks like a little kennel cage thing that's open, showing the head inside. I think it might be hard to see, but it looks like a. Maybe I just have it. I had to like kennel up my cats earlier today, so maybe that's why I'm like thinking about this. But it looks like a cage with and like the little cage doors open here, and then it looks like there's a head or a face inside of it. So maybe this is like a helmet, but I don't know why it has a door. And then this is, another corpus person, and then this is, I think, the same sort of corpus person as this, but with like an energy sword, which the corpus don't really have. You'd think they would have more energy swords, but they really don't. Maybe this is just a Prova, like, shock baton thing. I think the corpus need more cool, like, energy melee weapons. The Grineer, that's sort of like the Grineer's wheelhouse, if you think about it. Like, a lot of their melee weapons are plasma based, like the machete has this, and the sheave, they both have this plasma coil thing running along the blade. and you're like, you know, that kind of technology, that should really be a Corpus thing. So, interesting. So, I think. So this part, I'm pretty sure has been shown on stream before, but the scrambuses and the combos were. They're modular, you know. They have like a base skeleton and outfit, but parts of it get added on, especially the helmets, because the helmets change and they have like gameplay functionality. But but the different parts. So this is like the coat, and then it can have a trim down here, like a little hem almost. And this is leg A, and this is leg B with the puffy pants. Foot, skate. Some of them have skate. Maybe all of them have skates. I'm not sure. Face, parentheses, separate material. Hood, neck brace, shoulder plate, arm A and arm B, floating arm drone. It says drone. That's interesting. Hand plate, hand. Yeah, so, you know, you can swap out arm A, arm B, leg A, leg B, and then maybe some of these pieces are optional, like the shoulder plate and the coat trim. You know, you add those on and off. This is focused on the helmet, I think. Some helmets have optional extra, turret. So yeah, as far as I know, none of these have turrets in the game. But that, you know, was one of the... So this is thinking cap again. This must mean something to them. Maybe it's some sort of enhancing, like mental acuity enhancing brainwave thing. But it says thinking cap. That's like a model, like a version of their helmet. This is helmet A. Helmet B has earplugs. Helmet C has crest on the top of it, and then arm energy shield, which I guess some of them have. So yeah, this is just showing that, you know, you can mix and match elements of the helmets, and then I think these sketches are like a further exploration of that. So, base body plus vest, female, one head, different facial hair color, one head, on-off makeup. And then, you know, different helmet styles. Thinking cap, wearable computer. Okay, so this is, we do get into a bit of an explanation. This says thinking cap, wearable computer. So it's like, there's a computer or a calculator in the helmet, which is interesting and not something that we ever really hear about or is discussed. So that, I mean, it would be cool to hear more about this. You know, I think the Corpus could really do with a lot of the Corpus, possibly more than all the other factions, could do with like a lot of text-based lore. It would be interesting to get documents or like computer readouts or something like that from like a Corpus point of view or from Corpus file systems. I think that would be cool. And like the Corpus, more than any of the other factions, you know, the Grineer don't have documents. I mean, you know, not like the Corpus do. And then, you know, you think about Orokin technology, and that could be like a hologram. But the Corpus would have printed documents, and I think it would be interesting to see, I don't know, like a product description, and we do see some of this, like in Nightwave, at one point you were able to pick up in the Glassmaker Nightwave. At one point, one of the clues you had to examine was a product brochure of different robotics, and I thought that was pretty cool. I would have loved to, like, you know, I think there wasn't much text on it, you know, because it's a gameplay it's part of a memory clue thing, so they mostly had pictures, like images of robots and ships. But it would have been, I would love like a product brochure with details about like, you know, you can buy a MOA for yourself, and these are the types of guns you can buy for it, or shields, and so like I think that would be cool, and just a way of, I don't know. I feel like that would be kind of like an effortless way to provide some lore, but maybe it would be more effort than it's worth. Anyway, but yeah, I got that. That's from Thinking Cap Wearable Computer. That, I mean, that's such an interesting idea, and they never talk about it. I'm learning about it from the art book, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to get the art book in the first place, because I thought that there would be some interesting stuff like that in there, and I'm glad to see that is a little bit true. 6 helmets, lots of shared bits. Yeah, you know, you can just overlap. And then here's some more helmets. You got the ones with the earplugs on the side. This one with like, I don't know, stuff sticking up on the side of the head. This is just like the Darvo helmet. This big ring on the top. This also says Thinking Cap Wearable Computer. This is actually just a black and white version of this picture. I don't know why it's on there twice. And then this says Corpus, Engineers and Merchants, which is, I guess, who they imagined these modular costumes going to, Engineers and Merchants. Here we have just a generic Corpus crewman with like slim fit jeans. And then this is an image of like the crew suits hanging up on the wall. This is like a real armored, you know, crewman here. You know, it's got these armored plates on the legs, on the chest, on the arms, and like the face for sure. This one's got another turret on his head, and like he's got these energy shield things from this page on his arms. Like this is like a Corpus fighter, like the ones that they said. You know, we should see more of these kind of guys. It really feels like the humans you run into, the human Corpus enemies, are like, you're not supposed to run into them. Like, they're not the ones that you would really, they're not like, if the Corpus were intending to send people out to fight, they wouldn't send these guys. These are just the ones you run into on the ships, and they happen to be carrying guns. But like, they don't look like fighters, they look like crewmen, and that's what they are. They're crewmen. You know, it's just it's like a weird little aside that we don't think about. Here's Alad V with presumably a version of Zanuka, but it looks a lot like him. It's got this coat, and the colors are the same. This is an Osprey. This just says Jackal Arms. Oh, So this is like a sketch. This is probably really hard to see. This is a sketch of a Tenno in an Arcwing, and then this is a sketch of a Corpus with like a jetpack that's like twice the size that he is. It's like this giant rectangular, this giant cube strapped to the back of him that's bigger than he is, and it's like a jetpack. And then this is like a more detailed version. It's really hard to see, but there's a Corpus guy right here in the middle, and then this big round thing is like a ship around him that is like 10 times the size of him. And then it's got this big, well, so it says Jackal Arms, so it's got 2 arms and they're holding like a giant space rifle, and then it's got these thrusters in the back. This is like a weird concept of something that doesn't, as far as I know, exist. Alright, I'm gonna refresh this stream really quickly. Hopefully this doesn't break for anybody, but I think I'm having some issues here, so just hold tight. Alright. Alright, we're gonna keep going, and hopefully that fixed stuff and did not break stuff, because that would be bad. As always, let me know if there's something that is the issue. Moving forward, we have another Corpus crewman, this time with like a giant oversized head, and he's got some sort of drill or welding thing. And then, so here we've got some robotic proxies. This is like, so these look like really armored, not this one. These look like really big, thick, armored jackals. I think the jackal, like, they have the Moa, which is like their main guy, and then the jackal is like their main boss archetype. And all of like the Corpus bosses are like variants of the jackal. You have the lynx, the hyena pack. These are all different sizes and versions of jackal. And then they remade the jackal, so now the jackal has like its own look. But just like generic four-legged creature is sort of like their boss version. Yeah, and then of course you have Ambulus, who's a Moa specifically, but and then like Zanuka, I don't know if that's like you would call that a version of the jackal, but it's like, it is a four-legged thing. It's very agile. Anyway, but this is like a big armored jackal. You know, it doesn't even have like a visible head, which is interesting. This is like a sketch version of it, I think. But this one has these big plates. This is supply packs on the back, cannon. So where you would expect the face is just a big cannon. And then underneath it says sensor array, which I guess is analogous to a face for a robot. And this is like sort of slung under the body, pointed forward. Cannon where the face should be, and then machine guns like on either side of where the face should be. But it's just this big armored thing. This is like a different version, but with okay, so this is the sort of the same thing, and it's got this thing called cannon mode, where it puts its two front legs together, and so these big panels on the shoulders, they move together to form a single big armor panel, and then you just have the cannon sticking out from the top. So it's this big, very fortified cannon type thing. And you know, I think there's like a sentient that kind of does this. The Ortholist, it has like a long range cannon. It has that like configuration that has to get into. It doesn't look like this, or really, I don't know. It's kind of analogous. I guess just ignore that. I think this is like the main body, like without legs, of the robot. Again, there's like just a very armored version of it. And then there's like the sockets here for the legs, and then the face. This is like another version of it. It's emitting smoke for some reason. Generally, the Corpus robots don't do that. And then this, I mean, this is just the like a more detailed version of this. It does say jackal, but you've got the cannon, the sensor array, and the big shoulder armor plates. And then here, what the shit? Wait. Apparently there's a person in this. This is wild. This is so weird. So if you can see this red shape, this is a person who's supposed to be fitting in inside this robot. So this part, that's just the body of the robot. There's like a person in there. They're sort of like leaning forward with their feet back here, and their head sort of like in the middle of the robot. This is wild. It says dude fits in here, hatch opens. So there's a hatch on the back of this thing, and there's like a guy, and he climbs in there. That's super weird. I mean, it's not even a robot at this point; it's a mech. But like what? we don't really see any corpus mechs. 3 masses for a bit of benditude. So these 3 different colored parts of the body are supposed to twist and bend independently. Like I think that's a note for the animators just to see how it would like walk and move. And then yeah, this is another version of this body piece, but like from the back. So this rounded thing is supposed to be the hatch that the guy climbs in and out of. That's so weird. Apparently there was a person supposed to be in the jackal, and the jackal was supposed to look like this. That's just some crazy information that we are learning brand new from the art book. So this is Zanuka, of course. So this is so the Zanuka, you can see a sort of a faint outline, and they're sort of faded off, and it says parts removed, simple caps applied where necessary. And so you sort of see like the base underlying skeleton, and then it's got a head and some back stuff and a tail that you can add on later. It says modularized base body. Yeah, so this is the base body, and you can add these modular parts on, like the helmet and the back thing. Stubby tail cap, caps for holes left by removing boxes, possibly jackal-based new head. So this is the Zanuka head, and it's faded out because it's, you know, one of the modular pieces, but it's got these 3 rings like the Frost Prime helmet, and of course Zanuka is made of pieces of Warframe, so it might actually be a Frost Prime helmet, but it sort of resembles that. And then this is like what the old jackal head used to look like, with these 2 antenna looking thing down here. And so they're just like, you could swap these in and out. The tail is stubby, you could swap that in and out. You know, they really do. I mean, it makes perfect sense because they're robots, but you can have these like modular enemies that way. This is what the jackal looked like in the Dark Sector. In the Dark Sector demo. Zanuka looks more like jackal here than jackal. Yeah, this old jackal, the big armored thing, that doesn't look like the jackal at all, which is really funny. But yeah, this brown thing is what the jackal looked like in the Dark Sector demo. There's like a brief scene of Excalibur / Hayden Tenno fighting it, which is cool. I don't know if it shows up in the Dark Sector game, like the game Dark Sector, because I haven't played that. But it had it was like a lot more curvy and armored and stuff like that, which is pretty intimidating. This is a Rattel. These came in a lot later. I don't know how old this sketch is, but Rattels are a lot more recent than most of the other Corpus robotics. And then this is something that we saw a while back in the Project Lotus section. This does not look like a robot, although, I mean, the fucked up like sort of skeleton with the joints going in all these weird ways, like it could be, but it looks like some sort of beast or animal or like infested thing. It's got blades coming out of the wrists. I don't know what this is doing here in this section, because it doesn't look like anything Corpus to me at all. It's just some sort of weird thing. This, of course, is Darvo. The Darvo Beck, the son of Fraud Beck, and he's like, you know, the merchant. Everybody knows who Darvo is. This, there was an enemy. When Warframe launched, the boss of Pluto was not Ambulus. Even before Operation Ambulus Reborn, there was Ambulus, who is just a black Moa. It was just a Moa. But even before that, at the very start of the game, there was the boss of Pluto was someone named Arn Etna, and it was a person, and they used the exact same picture as Darvo, and it was this picture. So This is now recognizable as Darvo, but at the very beginning of the game, this was the boss of Pluto, and his name was Arn Etina, if I'm remembering that right. That looks sentient. Yeah, I mean, I could see this being sentient. It just looks like an animal to me. Like some sort of, almost like a lizard, but again, the joints are all, they're going in weird directions, like the they're splayed out, the legs here. And like the arms, they go backwards and up and then down. This is just some weird animal. It could be a sentient, sentients are well known for having just really weird skeletons, like Era, but anyway, going back on this page. Well, we have some more really interesting setups for what looks like a Corpus boss. Hold on really quickly. I'm gonna pull up. Oh, hey, Seth. You're back. Yeah, the fuck? I agree with you. If you're looking at this, I agree with you. Is that Corpus Tenno off to the side? Over here? I don't think this is a Tenno. I think this is just a Corpus enemy. Hold on, really quickly. I'm gonna pull up, because I didn't expect this, but I should have, maybe. But I'm gonna pull up the Tenno, or the Corpus alphabet, because there's actually some words in Corpus here for some reason. Oops, no, that's not what I wanted. That's not what I wanted. Okay, back to this. This doesn't look like a Tenno to me, or a Warframe. This is just some sort of Corpus thing. They're standing on a platform, like a circular platform that's like a hover pad or something. And they've got these two guns that might kind of look like the Angstrom with like a longer barrel. This one's held like a normal gun. This one's held like underneath. It's like slung underneath the grip like that. And this person, and they're wearing the Oculus robe, the Sayandana, which you can actually get in game. But this looks like a version of just like the Scrambus outfit, but without the coat, but like with the arms and legs. But the helmet, which you also see here and here, is you've seen it. We've seen it before. Over here, it's like this tall. It's like the helmet. And then there's this tall crest on the top, and I don't know what that's supposed to signify. So this is mask animation. 1 horn going up. 2 reverse flap. The arrows go this way, like around the head. 3. Oh, sorry, this says right eye flap, and this is left eye flap. So this visor is supposed to be covered, and then there's the flaps that open up towards the side. I don't think the arrows that are describing the motion, I don't think those can come through. Maybe they can. But, so there's like the blue visor on the front of the helmet, and then it's got these armored flaps that open up. And then 4 says insignia, like in the center, this yellow dot in the center. This is actually a Corpus letter A stamped on it. But yeah, this is just describing the different moving pieces of this helmet. So here you have this guy. This is the same guy, but without his disc, his floaty disc. And here, what does it say? D. Oh. Yeah. Okay. So this says Durf Anyo, and this says Nef Anyo. So if any of you don't know, there was supposed to be a dual boss fight. The sergeant on Phobos. He used to be named Sergeant Nef Anyo, and then they had plans to make him into an actual character, so they were going to make it a boss fight with Nef Anyo and his nephew, Durf Anyo. and Durf sounds like such a silly name, but Durf was going to be flying around. He's going to be really fast, and he's going to be flying around on this little hover disc, and then Nefanyo is going to be in this like big chair thing. And so here is Nefanyo in his big chair thing. Let me see. I think you can like barely see him, but he's here, and he's got a giant helmet thing that's covering his eyes, and he's in this big throne, and he's got like a ring of keyboards or controls around him. And then the chair's like got 3 giant thrusters, but it's a big floating chair, and that's Nefanyo and his nephew Durfanyo, and it was supposed to be some dual boss fight. So I guess that's what this spiky tall helmet is. That's Durfanyo's helmet. And then what they did instead was they made Nefanyo into like a completely different person. Durfanyo completely got scrapped. And then the boss fight that they were going to rework, because you never fight Nefanyo in the game, of course, to date. And so the Sergeant Nefanyo fight just became the Sergeant, because they can't use that name anymore. But yeah, so that's... but that's what the corpus text says. This is Durfanyo, and this is Nefanyo. And yeah, they talked about this on dev streams a bunch. They were going to make it into a dual boss fight, and it just never happened. I'm pretty sure it says this on the wiki if you go to like Nefanyo's page. Oh good, oh good. I'm so happy. Here's some more sketches of Nefanyo. This is great. I have not seen these. This is so cool. Is there more? There is. There's like several pages of Nefanyo. This is great. I love this. I'm so excited about this. Oh, but these are really cool because I have not seen these. So this is Nefanyo's throne. I don't think Durf is on here anymore. And so these are completely different. These are different concepts. These are not the same thing. These are different versions of his throne. So here it's got these like this ring of, I guess, thrusters or something, and it's like spinning around him. And this one almost looks like a cage, not a cage, but it's got these bars in front of him. The one design motif that is shared is he's got this huge bucket on his head. And it's like a helmet, and maybe it's like the thinking cap because it's got the computer in it. Maybe that's what it is. But it's just got this big helmet, but it looks like a bucket, like a solid metal bucket over his head. And that's I guess just always part of his design. But he's in this chair. In this one, there's these 3 spinning rings around his chair. This one, they're actually spinning. So these are like spinning on the sides of his chair. And on these, they're spinning actually around the chair. Like those depictions of angels where it's like the wheels within wheels from Ezekiel, or just like a gyroscope. It's just that would be cool. I don't know how you'd like damage that. And then in these, they're like energy rings, or the rings are like projecting energy, and they're also spinning around him. This one's just getting more and more complex. Now there's like different spinning parts of metal and energy here, and then this one you've got these like partial rings up and to the side, and then just like the spinning energy thing around the base. But yeah, this is like different explorations of like this giant floating chair thing. Like, think of how cool this thing would be to fight, and like the mechanics that would be in here. And so here, I guess he was supposed to be just really fat. This is like an earlier version that got scrapped, because you can see in these ones he doesn't look as fat. But this is like Jabba the Hutt, like, I don't know, And the helmet doesn't cover his whole face. So maybe this was like the earlier version, and then it developed into this, and then it developed into the Nefanyo that we know, which we'll see more pictures of. This is like a little drone, like a Nemes drone. You see this in various places around Corpus Tile. That's just human Grendel and Cher. No, that's what I'm saying. No, it's like bigger than Grendel. This is like insane. I don't know why. I wonder if this is like later they pulled this out of the files and they're like, we should make an Orokin like this, because this is like Karish, like the obese Orokin executor, probably looked like this. Maybe. It's literally that one Zygerian from the Clone Wars. Yeah, it's just yeah. I don't. This is fat Nathaniel over here. I mean, yeah. Um. This is like some sort of ball. I'm assuming this is a turret. Maybe this is supposed to be attached to the like the underside of the chair or something like that. This is directional engineer, and these are just I think sketches of various parts or components of it. Yeah. The left one is basically the final Anyo just with a bucket on his head. Yeah, yeah, so these, so you can't really see, these are supposed to be, these are like explorations of the chair itself, but if we turn the page, we can see, you don't see the Nef Anyo in the chair very clearly, but here he is. Over here is Nef Anyo, and this is what he looks like in the chair, and then, you know, he doesn't really look like this as much. The face, for sure. The face is there. The Nef Anyo we know doesn't wear the giant bucket on his head. And as far as we know, he doesn't... I'm trying to think. Oh, shit. This is wobbling. Try to keep that steady. Let me pull up really quickly. Why? I'm trying to pull up a picture of the Temple of Prophet, because there's like that big thing of Nef Anyo. Yeah, it doesn't... yeah. Yeah, so this is not really what he looks like. It's very similar, but you know, this is pretty outrageous. Like, it looks like he's almost encased in carbonite or something. You know, he's just got the arms sticking out, but he's in this just big vertical block of like metal and plastic and digital displays. And so you know, we don't see a lot of Nef Anyo. We mostly see like his face from like transmissions, but if on the Temple of Prophet there's like a giant statue of him, and it does kind of look like this, but it's got like the arms are more normal. You know, they're not. You know, this is weird. This is outrageous. And he doesn't look like this. You know, just if you imagine this more normal, that's what the Nef Anyo statue in the Temple of Prophet looks like, without, you know, with like arms that are. I mean, I don't know how to describe it. And I think these are supposed to be Durf Anyo. I think maybe that there's like a smaller vehicle that he rides in, and that's just a guess because you know, just because it's not Nef, it doesn't have the giant bucket. It's got kind of a giant bucket, but it's the helmet is different, and you know, it doesn't have the blue. I don't think this is Nef Anyo. I think this is Durf Anyo, and just like maybe a different kind of vehicle. But it was supposed to be like a dual boss fight. But yeah, Nef Anyo. Very, very funny. But yeah, you know, Nef Anyo, the name has been in the game since, as far as I know, since the beginning, as Sergeant Nef Anyo. But it wasn't until 2015, I think, that he actually became like the character voiced by Lucas Schudeman, the you know, the prophet of Prophet. Hey, welcome back, Ninja Master. We just finished talking about Nef Anyo, so now these are this sort of looks like Ambulus. I mean, these are MOAs, of course, but armored MOAs. So I think this is closer to like Ambulus. You know, it's got sort of armor on the sides and like dual turrets on the head. Or not the head, just the top. MOA heads are more on like sort of like the crotch of the legs, kind of. And you know, if you don't pay attention, you might like the top of the mo is not the head. It's the gun, and it's actually resistant to damage. If you shoot for the top of the model, you know, it does less damage, not more damage. It's wild that Neff and Till have the same voice actor. Lucas Schuneman is a very, very talented voice actor, and he voices a number of those are the two big ones, Nefanyo and Till Regor, who have very different voices and both of them very unique and iconic voices. But he also voices like one of the ghouls and the treasurers. Actually, the guys who drop the Granum coins, he voices those guys too. Maybe even more. It's wild. The voices that guy can put out. And he's also just really funny. If you ever see him, you know, he's very proud to be part of like Warframe, and so he does a bunch of stuff. Like he shows up at TennaCon and stuff like that. Will the stream be available as a video in the future? Yes. This will be posted. You can find it on the Orkin Archives channel. If you go there now, you can see the 2 other previous streams that we've done, and I put them in a playlist of just like, you know, the art book live streams. So yes, this will be up on the channel as in the future. Complete opposite characters. That looks like a Bursa. Oh yeah, maybe I don't know. The Bursa's completely slipped my mind. It does kind of look like a Bursa. Although Bursas have like their armor is more on like the thigh part of the legs, but yeah, we'll see. Could be an early design for a Bursa. Yeah, I think I could be wrong, but I think the Bursa was actually a fan-made design. They do these like design, or they did. I don't think they don't really do this anymore, but they did these like design an enemy forum thread. And the ones that won were the Grenier Manic, the Bursa, the Corpus Bursa, and then one of the Infested. I think maybe the Boiler or the Broodmother. Maybe. I don't quite remember. But there's 3 enemies in the game that were fan designed and then, you know, made by Warframe. It's currently 5 a.m. in my country and I'm tired. Well, yeah, get some sleep and you can watch the stream later. I'm also pretty tired. It's been a long work week for me. So I think after this stream, I'm gonna like go to bed early and sleep in pretty late on Saturday, and then do a bunch of like Warframe, like actually play Warframe for once. Get all my deep Archimedean stuff out of the way. Greetings from Germany. Well, yeah, greetings. I'm glad you're tuning in from all the way across the world. Hope you enjoy it, and then, you know, hope you can catch it later. For sure. Alrighty. And then on this page, of course, you see the orbs, the rachnoids. That's what they're called, rachnoids. And the different. I think when they were initially designed, they weren't. The quarantine attempt. Look, you know, there's a lot of excitement. If any of you guys who are watching are not currently in the Discord, there's a lot of excitement around Lunaro, which sounds like an absurd statement to be saying, but there's a lot of people, especially Sith, just a chill acolyte, who is very excited about Lunaro and very good at it, and so yeah, we need to do another Lunaro maybe next week, or yeah, we'll see. But yeah, if you're not part of the Discord, you should join. The link is in the description, and you know, we can continue to talk about lore stuff, and every now and then get together and play Lunaro, and then Chill Acolyte will completely destroy us all, as he always does. Anyway, so I think when they were designing the Arachnoids, they were not. They didn't have like this. They were all going to be sort of the same scale. And then of course, if you play the game now, you know that the Arachnoids vary greatly in scale. And these guys with the razor blades are the tiniest ones. And then this is actually the Prophet Taker. You can tell from the giant turret on her head. And this is, this one's obviously much bigger. But these are, I think, in the concepting, they're all roughly the same size. It's interesting. The Prophet Taker, and then this one, I think the Kite Arachnoid is this one. They have these arms on the front. I don't think they ever use them for anything. It's funny. But yeah, these are those tiny ones with the razor blades on the legs. These are the intermediate ones that have a giant sack of goo, and then when you kill them, you have to kill them again. And then these are the semi-boss ones that turn invisible and make a whole bunch of electric stuff. And then this, of course, is the boss, the boss. The music. No, so the background music is not. This is not Phenomenus. This is he's still working on that. I think next week we should have some nice custom background music. The stuff in the background right now is just some Entrati Labs, or like it's Warframe background music, from like the Sanctum Anatomica and like the Entrati Labs and stuff like that, and from Whispers in the Walls. I just took a bunch of those tracks, and that's what those are. Anyway, also hi Danny, nice to see you. But yeah, no, I am excited to bring you some more custom music in the future. This has actually been playing in the background of all the streams, but because I am not good at, OBS, it was not actually playing. This was in the background, but only I could hear it and no one else could hear it. So that was my bad. So I finally fixed it so that now you can hear the background music. And it's not just me talking over silence, but yeah, this is just Entrati music from the game, and then next week I think we will have some other music. Yeah, no, so like I said, you couldn't hear it in the back. It was muted for the stream. Orb mothers don't make sense to me from an economic perspective. They can wipe out an entire city-scale structures easily. But so can capital ship cannons for way cheaper. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much we should dwell on how realistic they are. But like, well, so, if you think about it, like, they both can, of course, take out a city, but they're not, they're not trying to, at least on Fortuna, like, they don't want to destroy Fortuna. It's a bunch of workers that work for the Corpus. And so there have been a couple of times where Nefanyo has, like, sort of threatened to destroy Fortuna, but it's kind of an empty threat. And the Prophet Taker is supposed to guard the enrichment labs, and the other Orb Mothers, the Exploiter Orb guards the Temple of Prophet. And so having, the big capital ship in orbit, like, bombard stuff is not really helpful if you're trying to protect something, it's good if you want to completely level something on the planet's surface, but that's not what they're trying to do. They don't want to destroy the enrichment labs, and so the Prophet Taker's there to, like, basically destroy anything that comes and tries to attack the labs, but she's not there to destroy, like, huge sections of the planet. But you're right, she probably could. They've got... And I don't know if you pay attention to, like, the Orb Mother dialogue about, like, the bounties, the outer skeleton is actually made from the same thing that capital ships are made out of, which is why you need to use the arc guns to shoot them in the Prophet Taker fight. Not the Exploiter Orb for some reason, but whatever. So... It's got like sentient technology shielding, like the highest level of AI that they have in like the computer processing, and then like Corpus capital ship armor plating. So I mean they're about as they're about they're about as like scary as you can be in terms of like a weapon. The Grineer's big technological accomplishment is like the Fomorian ships, which are still probably the most powerful like single thing. But as for like a ground unit, nothing is more powerful than the Prophet Taker. And I mean, you have the Eidolons, but those aren't designed as weapons. Those are just things. Those are just fragments of a sentient. And even then, I think, because like, Prophet Taker's like sentient plus Corpus, and the Eidolon is just sentient. A single galleon would wipe out both Orb Mothers and everything else on the Valis. I mean, yeah, but that's, why they have Corpus ships in orbit of Venus, to stop them, I guess. But yeah, I mean, like, I agree with you, Ninja, on principle, that, if you think about economics, if you think about that sort of thing, I don't know if it's gonna make much sense. The ad works. Yeah, after I said join the Discord, someone joined the Discord and went. The Grineer also have massive cannons on Mars that are bigger than an Orb Mother. I mean, yeah. The Corpus also have, you see them in the gas city, but the Corpus also have like giant cannons. Probably, I don't think as big as the ones on Mars. And then of course the one on the Kufa Fortress is like absolutely massive. But I mean, I think there's a lot of these types of weapon systems that we just don't see. It always makes me sad to kill an Eidolon because I feel like the poor thing has no idea what's going on. It just wants its body back. Yeah, if you read like the lore around the Terralists and I guess by extension the Hydralists and the Gantulists, they don't really. They're almost like children or like half conscious things, because it was like one big intelligent sentient, and then it just has these fragments, and they like even their consciousness is fragmented, and so they're not like mean or trying to like destroy stuff. They're just trying to pull themselves together. And I mean, yeah, so I do sort of get what you mean, that it makes you sad to kill them. Do we know how they got sentient shield tech for those? I mean, it's from Nefanio's sentient research. It's not talked about in a huge amount of detail, but if you go into the enrichment labs, you see they're studying a whole bunch of sentients, especially battleists, as a Ninja Master says. They've got actually a whole bunch of sentience like pieces, including a whole intact. I think it's actually a conculist, not a battlist. But they've got like a whole intact sentient in the enrichment labs, and then a bunch of like pieces, like the cores and the heads in like jars. So they do a lot in the enrichment labs. They do a lot of research on sentience, and so they were able to extract enough data from that to figure out how to make like adaptive shielding. So, yeah, that's interesting. And the Ropalolist in that one vault. Yeah. The Ropalolist actually shows up in a couple of places. I think there's actually 2 spy vaults. One on the new Corpus ship tile set, and then one on the Corpus Gas City tile set. And then there's also sometimes you can see in the Corpus ship tile set, there's a tile with like a big empty space, and there's like 3 or 4 different things that can be in the empty space. and one of those is a Ropalolist. So I don't know where they keep getting these Ropalolist corpses, but there's a lot of different, whenever they need to like level up the enemy factions, they have the Grineer unearth something like Orokin. Usually it's something Orokin, and they're like, oh, now they have some Orokin power. And then when they want to level up the Corpus, they have them find something sentient. So the Corpus always have like these like hybrid sentient stuff. Like they have a decent number of like guns and like weaponry that is hybridized sentient stuff. And then the Grineer, usually they do the same with like Orokin, like Vor's, Captain Vor's like Void Key. Vahek had like the torsion beam generators to open the Orokin towers. He never did anything with them. He didn't like steal Orokin technology from them, but yeah. So the Corpus have a history of trying to get sentient technology and do a lot of sentient research, and so one of the byproducts from that has like a big plot point, well, not a big plot point, but is the sentient adaptive shielding on the Prophet Taker, and like on no other thing. How do they capture Ropalolist to completely annihilated Alad's entire fleet? Maybe it's supposed to be like the dead one after we destroy it, because like that does, I mean, after you fight it in the Ropalolist boss fight, maybe it's supposed to be like the dead body of it, maybe. But yeah, canonically the Ropalolist, because it has sentient shielding that Corpus can't punch through like at all, because you need void energy for that. The Ropalolist completely trashed Alad's entire space fleet, so they have no defense against it. So it must be the dead one, because like I don't think the Corpus can actually kill one. Wasn't there a Ropalolist being made in the new war? So I think you could be talking about a couple of other things. There's... Oh, no, I actually... Yeah, so there's in the sentient ship tile, in the Murex tile set, there's a room where you can see like a Ropalolist kind of being made. I think it's like made out of... Like, I think it's like a hologram, but I think it's like sort of intending... You can tell that they're like trying to make it. I think that's what you mean. There's a couple of different... There was like a New War cinematic that showed like 50 Ropalolist, but that's like non-canon. And then there's whatever Alad V has going on in like the Jupiter tile set, and like the Narmer Jupiter tile set, there's like some weird giant sentient being made. It doesn't look like Ropalolist at all. But yeah. But yeah, I think when you say a Ropalolist being made, there's like a room in the Murex/Pergasa tile set where you can see what is probably a Ropalolist being made. And I don't know about the lore implications of that, but that's what it is. Anyway, moving forward. Okay, so this is just a bunch of Corpus props and items. These are the computer terminals. This is a one-handed interface, and this is a two-handed interface. The interesting thing here, and you can see these in the tile sets, of course. I always thought the interesting thing about this is you have this like the socket for the hand where you like put your whole hand in it, and I don't know if it reads it or maybe reads your like DNA, or because it doesn't look like you can do much except like to manipulate it once your hand is in there. But it is interesting. So this is one-hand interface, two-hand interface, computer interface. Designed and manufactured by the Guild, used by all factions in different configurations/customizations. Interesting. Primary mode of interaction is a raised disc that the user twists and tilts/slides. Okay, so I should I should read this before talking about it. Apparently, you put your. Oh, I'll just keep reading. Switches on the outer rim of the disc can be pushed with fingers. Readouts are obscured and very difficult to decode. Only very skilled operators can use them. So, that is a ton of information, all of which is new. So apparently, you put your hand in the socket, you can twist, rotate, and like tilt and slide, and then there's also buttons on the edge that you press. So it's like, yeah, it's just a very, it's got a lot of stuff to manipulate. So that's apparently that's how you interface with it. Is you put your hand in the socket, you move it around, blah 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 blah, and then there's like tons of screens, and you just need to be very skilled at interpreting them and reading them. Probably because of the number of screens and being able to glean the right information at the right time. And then Parazon go burr, right? But yeah, this is really cool that they have an idea of how these things work, because you see how detailed this is, and you're like at least for me, I walk up to this in like the middle of a Corpus ship, and I'm like, man, that's really cool. I wonder how much thought they put into like what like each of these buttons do and what each of these screens do, and apparently the answer is a lot. So that's actually really exciting, and this is one of the oldest elements of any Corpus tile set. You can see this in the Corpus outposts, and the old the Corpus ship tile set that doesn't exist anymore because it got redone. But this has always been there, and so they had this information, these concepts like way back in the day. That's super cool. Isn't that the Pacific Rim controller in the first part? It's been a while since I watched Pacific Rim. It's similar to a device in Neil Stephenson's Anthem. There's also text on the screen. Yeah. I don't think... Let me just try to flip through it really quickly. I don't think it's going to have any of that. But... I will... Okay, yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. There's... So, not this specifically. I think these screens are... No, it also shows up on these screens. There's, But there are Corpus screens that you can read the text of, and they do mention the names of some of the Corpus guilds. And I actually have a whole article about this, about the Corpus merchant guilds, that I will put in a comment on this when I publish this video, because it's interesting to read, because there's information about the Corpus guilds. No character talks about this. This is not discussed in any written or like voiced lore, but you can sort of get these clues from the environment, including the data screens that you can read in Corpus tile sets. And so they talk about things like the Beehive and Oaklew Technical Inc., which is the thing that you mentioned, and the Fortunate Dawn. And these are all guesses because we don't know anything about these names. But what is theorized, including by me, is that these are the names of different corporations or guilds within the Corpus, and they serve specific functions. It's very interesting, and like I said, I'll put a link to that because it's really cool. And yeah, so if you go up to some of these Corpus terminals, it does show up on these, if I recall correctly, but they're really small and hard to read. But the Gas City has some really big screens that you can read. And then, you have to translate them from Corpus into English, but they talk about... They mention a bunch of cool names. So I think that's really cool. They should do more of that type of visual, environmental-based storytelling. But yeah, the doors, by the way, these doors... Oh, interesting. These doors actually say something different from what they say in game. But if you look at these games, if you look at these doors, they also say the name of another guild, which is Chilton Hive Mind Manufacturing. And there's no explanation for why the doors say that. But if you look at these giant doors on the Corpus Outpost or the Corpus Ice Planet, they have a logo, which is a set of crossed keys, and it says Chilton Hive Mind Manufacturing in Corpus. However, this says Chilton. This says... What does this say? Mm-hmm. Let's see. Encryption. It says Chilton. Wait. Chilton key encryption. That's interesting. Hey, Ren Sensei. Yeah, I mean, I'm, this section specifically has had more, like, of these little, like, details than I was expecting. So that's really interesting. So these doors, like I said, in the game, if you go up to these doors, these big doors, in the Corpus Outpost, there's a logo, it's a set of crossed keys, and it says, in Corpus, it says Chilton Hive Mind MFG, Manufacturing. The concept art here says Chilton Key Encryption. Still not, like a lot of clues there, but it makes the key logo make a lot more sense, because it's like an actual, like an encryption key, it's like a pun. But yeah, that is... I'm, like, fascinated by this, and, like, the implications. I think I might have to, like, update the article I have about the Corpus guilds to include that. That's so cool. Anyway, moving past this, this is a, this is like a Corpus rover. You see this on the Corpus Ice Planet tile set. It's supposed to carry high-value goods. On the side in Corpus it says Shipbreaker, and that's also what it says in the game as well. Canonically, what's going on Europa is there's a giant obelisk capital ship that crashed, and the Corpus are trying to salvage what they can, extract what they can. So the fact that this rover says Shipbreaker may mean that it is part of trying to cut up parts of the obelisk and get to, like, the valuable parts. On the side of it, by the way, it's very faint. I'm assuming you probably can't see it. But on the side of it is the logo of one of the guilds, Oaklew Technical Inc. I don't think that logo is actually there in the game. But it is on the concept art. It's got one of the Corpus Guild logos on there, which is an interesting little note. Alright, this is the old Corpus locker design. Of course, the lockers were redesigned along with the Corpus ship tile set, and then just animations for how it opens. This is the Warframe dissecting thing. You see this in Alid V's lab, and in the cinematic where he's selling off Warframes, and it, like, so the Warframe goes in here, and then it splits, it cuts them and dissects them. The arms, head, legs pop off of the body, and then they sell the pieces. This is also used, I call it like a restraint block or a containment block or something. And this is also used to imprison the Solaris prisoners in the Corpus ship tile set. It doesn't cut them open as far as I know. I'm excited to see more vehicles in 1999. Yeah, I mean, DE, they love designing vehicles, apparently. The Atomocycles, they do look cool. I only got into Warframe recently, and it's got way more world building than I was expecting. Yes, I mean, I think a lot of the world building is so subtle. I mean, especially this stuff that we're discussing about, like, the Corpus guilds. You literally only get this information from, like, writing on computer screens and on the walls. No one. This is not like a concept that you can really read about or people talk about in the game. It's very, very subtle. You have to you have to look at these computer screens and decipher what they're saying to get information about how the corpus work internally in their economy. It's very interesting. And then of course there is overt world building, which I'm also I'm generally a fan of DE's the world that they've built. It's very interesting to me. Hence this channel and website and stuff. All right. So this is. I mean, I don't know. This is some sort of container for something. Maybe like a drop pod or something. These look like racks of like I was gonna say they're servers. There's actually tiny people in them. So maybe this is storage for the suits or for the crewmen. And they're put in the blocks. I really thought these were servers and computers for a second. And then here, these are different ways of holding the crewmen. It's like a block holding them in different configurations. I do think you see this in the infested Corpus ship tile set. There's like a variety of ways of like spots for people to fit into, because you see more of like that kind of interface thingy there. Warframe is such a unique visual style. Yeah, I agree, and they break up their visual style. So like, I mean, you could say that the Corpus have a unique visual style, and the Grineer have a unique visual style, and the Orokin, like, and they're all distinct from each other, and like just distinct in general. I really love their designers and like concept artists. They're just extremely creative. Okay, so Danny already said that, yeah. And then, so this thing at the top is, it's for boring tunnels through the ice. Again, on Europa, which is the ice planet. It's actually a moon of Jupiter. You have a crashed Corpus ship, and so they need to tunnel through the ice to get to parts of the ship that are underwater. And so they don't need a drill, because what they do is they just melt the ice. And so you have this part of the front that heats up, and then it just pushes through and melts a perfectly circular hole through the ice. And you can actually see these devices in the tile set at the end of the tunnels and stuff like that. And then here you have a Corpus who's on fire because he's standing too close to the hot part of the tunnel thing. But if you ever see like a drill, like something that we use to drill like subway tunnels or something like that, and it's got like the 3 different drill bits on the end, this is the same thing, except instead of a drill, it has just a heated coil, which is very interesting. I don't think we have much real world analog of this, because we don't need to dig person-sized tunnels through ice. Like, that's not generally a task we need to get done in the real world. Maybe if they were ever to like colonize Antarctica to a significant degree. There's a Corpus for scale. Is that the Corpus for scale? Yes. I think that's the Corpus for scale. Sometimes they use this guy too. This guy who we've also seen a couple pages ago. Here. This guy, they also sometimes use this guy for scale. Or they use this guy for scale. And but yeah, a lot of these concepts will have like a human for scale, whether it's a Grineer Corpus or an Excalibur. So these doors, there's actually an Excalibur here for scale. Anyway, moving on, this is the Gox ship. This is a computer and human for scale, big old computer. This is a Corpus. This is actually the redesigned Corpus locker. This is the new one. And you see it's got the hologram on the front that tells you if it's open or not. This is a hologram projector drone thingy. You see them in the Corpus ship tile set, the redesigned one. I think this is an interception beacon. like the interception missions, I think these are the floating radio towers that you need to capture. But I'm not sure. The Gox is a really funny spaceship. I mean, yeah, just literally 3 boxes. Yeah, if you the codex description says it has like a mining laser, so I think they're supposed to. I don't think they're like warships. I think they're like mining units, but that you just happen to fight. All right, so here we've got some ships. So these. So this is the stanchion, and then here's the pillar. So the stanchion is the one that's just kind of like smooth. It's got these two. It's got these like the two, I don't know, parts here, and then the part that goes under. And this is actually, I think, where you board in Railjack. And then on the other end, you've got the. I think this is supposed to be the bridge or the front end of the ship. You've got these like radio towers or it could be the back. I could be, completely wrong. But it's got these antenna and like these storage pod thingies. And I think these are different concepts. Like, these are completely different shapes, but these I think could be earlier designs. I don't think this says anything legible. These are just some random logos on the side. Gox and Ogma are counterparts. Yeah, the Gox is their version of the Ogma. It's a lot more clear if you do Archwing missions, because they fulfill the same roles. But outside of that, it's not clear because the Ogma, other than in Archwing, shows up on the planes, which the Gox does not do that on the Orb Valis. And then you see the Gox in Railjack, but you don't see Ogmas in Railjack. Instead, that is taken up by the... what are they called? The ones that lay the mines. Outriders. I think, Outriders they're called. That's like the version of them that they have in... And so they're... but if you only played the Archwing missions, then you would see that the Gox and the Ogma are like analogs of each other. Stanchions are probably carriers. Double hulls allow for carrying more fighters, cruise ships, and cargoes. I mean, that certainly, is possible. Why does the one below the one you're pointing to look like a Yuzhen Von ship? I don't know. I mean, they've got lots of inspirations. I think these are earlier versions of what the stanchion should look like. And over here we've got the pillar, with surprise obelisk over here. The pillar is, I think, one of the... Let's see. I'm just flipping ahead here. They don't... It doesn't look like they spend too much time on the obelisk, but I would say that the obelisk is like the most iconic Corpus ship shape. It's the one with the big hammerhead on the front. And so it's like this sketch here. But ever since they redesigned the ships, the pillars have been a lot more common, and then the stanchions are also there sometimes. But these are the pillars, the long and narrow ones, with like the banners of text, Corpus text, and like the multiple like the like these like pod thingies. They actually are labeled. Hold on. I remember seeing them being labeled. Let me just flip ahead real quick. Okay. This is what I was talking about. So we'll get to this page soon. Anyway, sorry about the just flipping ahead like that. These are sketches. This is different. It doesn't look the same, but maybe this is like a really early version of the pillar, or maybe this is some sort of space station, because it looked like it's supposed to be vertical. and it's just some sort of stationary, like, orbital thing, maybe. Pillars probably fit the role of destroyers. They don't much space for cargo since the entire front half is dedicated to the main gun. It also has, like, 6 jets, probably making it really fast. Yeah, yeah, the propulsion on the back is, like, 6 engines all together. And then, yeah, as we saw during the New War, this is, like, a big gun. That was not super clear before that, but we do see them firing. Although we also know that I'm pretty sure we see obelisks and stanchions also firing from, like, the front. But this does look like a gun, so you can imagine this being some giant, like, I don't know, railgun or like, you know, something like that. Or energy, like, laser. But yeah, and if that's true, then, you know, it like, the ship is sort of built around that. And then we know from Railjack that they've also got plenty of torpedoes and stuff that come out of the front end as well. Like Halo Mac cannons, yeah. Like, the ships in Halo are, like, built around the Mac cannon, and, like, the pillar can conceivably be understood to, like, be built around this central cannon. And so the apparently there's not a page that focuses on the obelisk, and that's kind of wild to me. All we get of it is this. They also have these banners, which the other ships don't really have. Stanchions have some. You don't see it in these sketches, but in Railjack, stanchions have some, like, banners of text. But these guys, they have, like, the big flag and the one that trails back, and they're circled around it. So, like, they've also got, like, a lot of propaganda, and so, like, I don't know what that means. But it's interesting to note that, like, the female captains, like Vala, Glarios, and Zedo, who is from the new quest Jade Shadows, who aspires to be a sister of Parvos. They were captains, and probably still are, were and are captains of Pillar-class ships. So, you know, I would love to, like, have some... This is, like, one of the things I would like to get some more information on, like, the layout of, like, their structure and stuff like that, how they assign these ships. But it seems like they put these, like, high-ranking women in charge of these ships, and then if they prove themselves, they get to be Sisters of Parvos. Obelisks get as much love in this art book as they got in Railjack. That is to say, not much. See, I mean, that's a shame, especially because the first time we ever saw Railjack was fighting Nefanyo's obelisk in orbit of Venus. Yeah. And I just think obelisks, they look super cool. Didn't Zeta take a stanchion? I will have to double check. But I'm pretty sure in the background, when in the final mission of Jade Shadows, I'm pretty sure you see a pillar in the background. When you're, like, above and you're walking towards your ship, you know, and there's, like, that cutscene and everything, and there's, like, all the corpus shooting at you. I'm pretty sure in the background is a pillar ship. I will check on that later. I'm running even slower than I was last time, so I'm just kind of trying to flip through some of this so we can finish the corpus section. Front entrance, possible lower entrance over here, side entrance, and of course the side entrance is the only one that actually gets utilized. Chassis details, back view, banners deployed, straight banners version, Nef Anyo version. Huh. So this is the version that's in the game where you have, like, curved arcs. The horizontal banners that are in these curved arcs. In this one, I didn't notice until just now, they're not curved. They're like these big flat plates of energy. They're energy banners, but they're in, like, these big square plate shapes. And in here they're flowing and curved. And this is straight banner version, and this is Nef Anyo version. And the Nef Anyo version is the only one that's actually in the game. It's very interesting that they would call it the Nef Anyo version. Alright, moving through. This Wow. This is the front part of a pillar. This is like the mouth of the gun, where there's like a loading dock. And this was intended to be the front entrance, the main way you would approach these. This is front entrance here. Of course, this is not how you approach them in Railjack now. The side entrance here that is marked is how you enter these in the game. But it looks like they had some plans to make this the main way you enter them. So it says transitional logistics areas, admittance paths, landing strips, and then this red dot you see here is like Excalibur for scale. So this is supposed to be a giant loading dock, essentially, on the front of the ship. That's cool. This is the Arkwing, or the Railjack fighter. This is the base version. It's called an Aquila, and you basically only see them in Jupiter, because the ones that you see in Railjack, they have different names, because they have these modular parts that go on the top. But the base version is supposed to be called an Aquila. These look like different... So this is the Corpus cruise ship, and this is basically the final version of it, but these are different, like, concepts of it. And this is actually kind of old-ish. This is older than Railjack. Railjack is the first time you really see them, but you actually do see them in the Infested Ship tile set and in the Auric Moon tile set. There's versions of the Auric Moon where you can see these guys landing, and also in Cetus, you see these on the landing pads, and in some cutscenes and stuff like that. And then they finally show up in like the Railjack when you actually fight them. And in the new Corpus ship tile set, there's a couple ways we can see these guys. But yeah, these are the cruise ships, these tall vertical things. I think these are supposed to be other versions of like transport ships and something like that. We don't really see them. These are the Condor ships. Let's see. This says retractable turret, troop deployment door. Yep. Maneuvering thruster, main thruster. All right. These are really hard to read because they're really faint and they're white on gray. These are like basically impossible to read. What Jupiter Gas City? What about Jupiter Gas City? Yes, you are right, Cloudcracker. You also can see these in the Jupiter Gas City. Yeah, so, I mean, basically, the takeaway is you can see these in a bunch of places, but the only place you get to fight them or go inside of them is in Railjack. The bottom right one is the one you see Corpus Defense missions dropping off troops. This... I mean, I assume you mean this, as in bottom right. Because these are not really designs that are in the game. This is the Condor ship. You see this in a variety of places. The Corpus Outpost tile set, Venus, you can actually shoot them down on the Orbalis, and in the Gas City, these also show up. And I think you can also maybe shoot them down in the Gas City as well. I can't remember. You can scan them for sure. And then these are earlier models of the Condor. These are different concepts of the Condor. And one of these possibly turned into the Buzzard, which is the other version of dropship you see on the Orbalis. Maybe this one, maybe this one. This is just an animation of how the doors open. This is the Golden Hand tribute, of course. And then now we've got some... Some generic... So this looks like what turned into the new Corpus Gas City tile set. Big open spaces, like tall ceilings. This is maybe the crashed Corpus obelisk on the ice planet. Not sure. This looks like Corpus Outpost, but like in the dark. And this is like a Corpus ship, also in the dark, like a very old version of the Corpus ship, like pre game launch, honestly. It's true, they actually look nothing like in the game. Yeah, the ones here, these are interesting explorations, but they don't resemble anything in the game. And then you have a person like walking through this dark hallway. I think this is like an early exploration of Venus or the Corpus Outpost styles at here. This is like the nighttime version of it. Here you have an interior like walkway. Interior space. This is glass panes, stairs go down, glass floor. They do like their glass floors. I think that's a cool little design feature. The glass floors. More interior stuff. This is just vague. There's block shapes. This is in the Codex. Under Phobos in the Cephalon fragments. But this is just like a Corpus facility. You have a Corpus guy kneeling over here at the computer, and then you have Excalibur like hiding behind this panel here. Maybe you're gonna attack him? Maybe not. These are just black and white. Hard to make much out of these. Maybe these sort of... I mean, there's not much detail on these. Let me move this over real quick. There's not much detail on these, but just from the vibes, these maybe look like the manufacturing facilities, the automated manufacturing facilities. I think there's actually... So these are some detailed diagrams of... Try not to move this much because it actually makes the camera wobble a bunch. Alright. Let me see how much we have to get through. Alright. So, other than these, the rest of it isn't really diagrams, it's just nice concept art, so we can flip through that pretty fast. But these are like nice diagrams of... This sort of looks like a Pillar class ship, but I think this is ultimately supposed to be like a vertical space station, like a satellite maybe, or like the type of space stations you see floating around in like the Neptune Proxima regions. But yeah, and these are labeled. So here we have tanker dock. These cylinders are labeled gas collectors, which is interesting because these show up on Pillar class ships. So if they are gas collectors, that's interesting information. Communication array, habitation pod on the end. And this habitation pod looks sort of similar to the ones that's on the end of Stanchion capital ships. So, this kind of like annotation is very interesting. Communication tower up on the top, gas processing and storage, gas collectors, tanker docking station, small vessel docking hangar, habitation pods, stilt piece. So, you know what? I've changed my mind. I actually think these are part of the gas city, not supposed to be in space, because they keep talking about gas collection. So I think these are components of the gas city. Oh yeah, Sith got there. And then this is the more recognizable units of the gas city, with like the wider top. And then you still got these like long bodies. Communications array on the top, gas processing, tanker hookup. So this is where like the ships would, they come up here and they dock here. You get filled with gas and then they leave. Filter, extractors, pillar tracks, gas collection filters. So these parts that stick out on the side, they gather the gas and they filter it, and they move up and down along these tracks as they need to. So they collect the gas, it gets filtered here and processed up here. So these are, just these giant megastructures, and they just sit in the gas atmosphere of Jupiter, and just collect gas and process it, and then ships roll up to them and get filled and take it to other places. Alright, so the rest of this, we've got just some some concept art. So these are from the Corpus Gas City. I think these are from Željko Ivaniek, his concepts. Interestingly, he continues to use the Grenier for scale rather than, even though this is a Corpus environment, Grenier for scale, Grenier for scale. This is like the crashed Corpus obelisk. This is a gas city concept. You can see the gas sort of flowing here from top to bottom or bottom to top as it's getting processed, and then like the Jupiter environment out here. And then these are the automated manufacturing facilities. You can see this image in the codex in the cephalon fragments under. I need this to just zoom out a little bit more. To get the whole. That's mostly good. I mean, there's not really anything on the sides that is missing. It's just annoying me. There we go. Anyway, this is like an automated facility on Pluto. According to the Codex, it's supposed to be so cold and inhospitable that humans can't live there, which makes a lot of sense, honestly. And so the Corpus have facilities there, and they're just completely automated, and they just crank out MOAs and other robots constantly without human intervention. And so that's what that concept art was. This is a Gas City tile set. This is like a cutaway showing the different levels. This is super cool. Human for scale here. I don't know what this is. It's just a human. But yeah, this is cool. You know, cool cutaway. This is a great concept of the Gas City structure just sucking in the gas. This is really nice. And I'm not sure what this is. Maybe some sort of internal part of the Gas City. This looks like a Grenier. This human for scale. But it actually doesn't look like a specific Grenier, so I don't know what that one is. Just generic something for scale. But I actually really like this piece here. Alright, more Gas City concepts. I think this is Ice Planet, but this is Gas City. This actually resembles a specific tile that used to be present in the old Gas City. What is that gas for, since ships use antimatter reactors, not fusion reactors? So, we know that the Grenier ships use antimatter to move. We know that from the Gallows rods in Railjack. I don't know that we could say that definitively about the Corpus. I know one of the gases is, of course, hexanon, which I think is used in manufacturing. I actually don't know this information off the top of my head. But there's a variety of gases. I believe Jupiter is mostly hydrogen, but I imagine they're harvesting a whole bunch of stuff. You know, because there's lots of complex stuff. Orchid ships also used antimatter. Where are you getting that from? I'm not remembering that, but I could be wrong. At this point, there's let's see, what am I searching for? Jupiter. Liquid metallic resources. Interesting. The Codex says that, or the cephalon fragments specifically cite liquid metallic resources when it comes to Jupiter, which I think is only true in like the core of Jupiter, but whatever. Nova Lavarian. Ah, you're right. Nova Lavarian does mention the antimatter in the ships. Let me just double check that though. I mean, I know you're right about that. Antimatter reactor. So it. I mean, if we want to be super pedantic about this, Nova's Laverian talks about an antimatter reactor, which could be used to power the ship, but not necessarily propel it. Although, it does say that without the antimatter reactor, the ship would crash because it didn't have propulsion. But yeah, no, you're right. Antimatter was definitely used for that sort of thing, in one way or another for ships. So I guess it would be logical to assume that Corpus ships also run on antimatter. I wonder where they're getting it from. Like, where's all this antimatter coming from? I mean, there's a variety. The mantle's made of liquid metallic hydrogen. Yeah, I mean, hydrogen does have a lot of metallic properties when it, especially when it's, like, under pressure. So, I guess that makes sense. But, like, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not a chemist, although I did kind of want to be one as a kid. So I couldn't exactly tell you what parts of Jupiter are valuable to mine, but if, when DE's like, oh yeah, they're mining resources off Jupiter, I don't really question that. I'm like, okay, that sounds right. Right? Because I'm sure there's something in there that's useful. But I don't think we have a ton of information other than liquid metal, and from what you say, it could very well be hydrogen. So yeah. I mean, I wouldn't really stay in that state though once you harvested it though. That's the part that's bugging me. But anyway, Gasity. Just some. Much like we mentioned all about the Grenier, you have this great sense of scale. Just like these huge, massive constructions that are doing like very big activities on like a greater than human scale. And it's really cool. I wish we had like that kind of like mega structures, because that, that's such a cool aesthetic to me. Just like a big facility that is like miles long and helium-3 processors. You're right about that too. Oh man, there was a time where like every bit of lore was like constantly in the forefront of my brain. But there's so much of it now, which is a good thing, of course, that I'm like, oh shit, I forgot about that, But yes, the gas cities do have helium-3 processors, and then there's also something Ordis mentions, elemental condensers, which could be operating on anything, That's anyway. This part here, this is part of the Corpus crashed obelisk on the ice planet. This is not part of like Gas City, but it still looks nice. Yeah, so here we've got, wow. Look at how long this image is here. This really wide landscape shot of the crashed obelisk. This is great. This is really great. This is like on the surface of Europa, and then you see in the skybox here, you see the Jupiter in the distance. You'll also see it in these shots too. Honestly, I love the Europa skybox. It's just amazing. Guessing the lore is going the way of your email password. My email password. But yeah, Europa is just really pretty. The tile set is annoying to traverse through with all like the ice tunnels and shit. But when you go to the top and you just like look out, there's also like a battle happening in the sky, which isn't depicted here. But in the game, if you go to Europa and you look up, there's like a Fomorian and an obelisk like engaging in battle. But just it's so pretty with Jupiter in the background in like space, and then just this like pink and orange. It's so nice. More ice planet stuff, just wreckage and like retrieval. You have some ships flying around here with like laden with goods probably. Grenadier for scale. But yeah, just some really nice concepts that like don't have like a lot of detail, but they're like nice to look at, you know? We are approaching the end of this section. Here's another frozen thing. Something like actually frozen in ice. There's a Fomorian in the sky, only obelisk wreckage on the ground. There's... The Fomorian in the sky is fighting... I'm pretty sure it's another obelisk. I think it's a second... Like, obviously, yes, there's an obelisk wreckage on the ground. That's the bulk of the tile set. But in the skybox, there's a Fomorian, and it's fighting... I'm almost positive it's an obelisk. And, of course, the Fomorian is supposed to outclass it, so you think that fight is going to be over pretty quickly. But it is just constantly happening on the background, and they're just shooting back and forth at each other. So these two are showing the temple in the new Corpus ship section. There's a specific tile that's got like a pyramid, and at the top is this like deadlock protocol thingy, and you insert a Granum crown and you get one of the tenets. And if you've completed all the tenets, all 11 of them, I think you get like a bunch of credits instead. But these are different versions of it. This one's a lot more. It looks like it's got a lot of like void energy surrounding it. And there's another concept which I don't think is in the book, where it's just where it's literally in the void, which is cool. But it sort of looks like this. I don't think this part hovers like this. This is super cool. But yeah, these are both different versions of the same thing of the temple. I think that's what it's called. But it's the place where you go and redeem the Granum crowns to get the tenet plaques. And that's the end of the Corpus section. I will say though, I don't know if any of you have seen the Foundation. Whoops, this is shaking again. We're at the end of the stream, so I'll just ramble a bit. But if anyone has seen the Foundation TV show on Apple TV, it's based on Isaac Asimov's very famous Foundation series. It diverges from the text pretty significantly, as any adaptation would have to, I think. But this reminds me of the vault on Terminus, especially if you watch season 2. It becomes even more apparent, I think. If you can, though, if you like sci-fi and Jared Harris, you should really watch the Foundation show. It's really great. I highly recommend it. But yeah, that is the end, and now we've at the infested section. So we will save that for next time. But that was the Corpus section. Just a lot of like I said, a lot of like the technical details and notes and stuff like that. I thought that was really nice. I was glad to see that, and I think there wasn't that much in the Grenier section. And as I said in the beginning of this, the Corpus, there's a lot more room for like text and data and like, I mean, just like lore, to put it shortly. And so I'm glad that we have got some sort of expoundments on some of the details of these Corpus things. It's very cool. So, but yeah, that's it. So thank you guys for checking it out, for checking out the stream, and stay tuned for the next one where we will talk about the Infested. Yeah, thanks everyone for stopping by, and have a great weekend.